This is INCRadio DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
Good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are right now. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of INCRadio New York. I am Sister Abby Hidalgo, your host for today's episode, and with me we have Sister Mika and Brother Christian, and we are going to talk about communication throughout the ages. But before we get into it, we'll get into the introduction. Wow. Happy Saturday morning to everyone here on the East Coast. But yes, it's World Communication Week, and communication is natural to all of us, or all humans. We've been communicating even before languages were invented. But as time passes by and technology advances, ways of communicating has gone through many changes. So we're going to talk about all these changes on INCRadio New York, and we'll find out how much it has changed. But for those who are in the YouTube live chat, tell us when you're back, if you're currently a teenager or back when you were a teenager, how would you communicate with your friends? So yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Good morning, Sister Abby. How are you?
Good morning. I'm okay.
I know. How are you doing, Brother Christian? Thank you so much for being on.
I'm doing well. We just finished our worship service here in Manhattan, so
nice. Was Kajay there?
He actually was. So I think he left already. I'm not sure. Maybe he's doing something. But.
All right. So before we go on to our main topic, of course, we're gonna try to see how much knowledge our audience, our YouTube live chat fam has when it comes to the evolution of communication, right? So we're gonna it's gonna be like a this or that, right? And we're gonna you have to tell us on the YouTube live chat which came first, the chicken or the egg. No, not that. Although it has been a big topic of conversations for a long time. But you're right. So first, which came first, right? So there's different modes or different types of communication, starting from the Stone Age to, I guess, the modern age, right? So let's see, which came first, symbols or smoke signals? Which were used as a form of communication first? Symbols or smoke signals? So while we're waiting for everyone to answer that, let's answer some of the question of the day, right? Brother Christian, when you were a teenager, what was the main form, or like, how did you talk to your friends when you were a teenager, which was like last year?
Right. I was like, wait. I don't know. I guess like kids my generation now is like we have all our gadgets and cell phones. So I don't know how it was back in your age, Sister Mika, but I'm kidding. But yeah, like, cell phone, lots of just text messaging, and now like video calls and all of that. It's a new age of technology for this generation. So
that's right. So basically Okay, nice. How about Sister Abby and I kind of like grew up in the same. Well, did you grow up here or in the Philippines, Sister Abby?
I grew up here. So
Okay.
I was born in America and I grew up in America. So I will date myself. And I think I'm similar with Brother Abraham in the chat. We just had landlines. There was no cell phones, and we just would call our friends on the landline. And I had all their telephone numbers memorized. There's nothing like, and we had address books or like a book to have our contacts, and we would just call each other and say like to make plans or to say let meet at this time, and we just hope that we met at that time. Like there's no quick communication, hey, I'm running 5 minutes late, I'll be there soon, like how it is right now. So how about you, Sister Mika?
Um, I think well, I teenager, right? When I was a teenager, oof, oh my gosh, yes, I will be dating myself too. Back in my day. Back in my day. So I grew up in the Philippines. So I think we were a bit behind on some things like technology, I guess, compared to America. Well, at least I was, because I wasn't rich, you know. Uh yeah, no, just phone, telephone. Although when I was, I think in high school, that's when like cell phones were like really like the block, the small block phones, right?
Mm.
Of the brand that starts with the letter N. Uh that even if it falls down on the stairs, it still works. You know,
It
you can
doesn't break.
throw it, it doesn't break, not like the phones right now. It just drops the wrong way and the case is done for. But yeah, we used to play Snake on it. Right. So that's when it was kind of just starting. Um and you would have to remember when you would have to call your friends after 9 p.m. because that's when it's unlimited.
Yes, but it's unlimited if you have the same carrier, if I remember correctly. Like if you have different carriers, you have to still pay or something like that. But after a certain time, it's free. And text messages cost 10 cents or 5 cents or
Yes,
something like
that's
that.
right. To send and to receive messages.
Yes. So
Wow,
it's
brother
was
Christian. I don't know.
so
Everything was unlimited.
and this was like what, 20 plus years. Yeah, we're dating, I'm dating myself.
Yeah, about 20,
But
20
yeah,
years
in
ago.
20 years we can see how much communication has evolved to being more convenient compared to before. Like what I think Brother Abraham was saying in the chat, like you just have to say, okay, this is the time that we're going to meet, and there's no way to communicate if you're running late, and you just have to wait and hope that everyone will arrive on time. And sometimes when I was a kid, my friends lived close together, so we would just like walk over or to each other's houses and just, hey, do you want to go out? Essentially, not like texting or emailing, or I don't know if there's instant message right now,
Yeah,
like
actually,
online.
so Sister Lonnie says send a message to a pager. So that was her time.
Hmm.
And then Sister Joy D. Parsha said we communicated through letters or pagers. Um yeah, oh man. So we all watch, movies, and some of the movies when they portray like 80s, like growing up in the 80s, uh yeah, like a lot of 80s stuff, they would ride their bikes to their friend's house and then just call out their friends. That's how they would do it. Oh man. Oh, Kia Abe says, those of you with siblings, call waiting was a revelation, wasn't it? And then wait, someone said the yellow pages or the phone book. Brother Christian, do you know what a Rolodex is?
I'm sorry, what?
A Rolo.
Well, there you go. That answers your question.
There you go. So a Rolodex. So because back then, like you either had your friends' phone numbers or like other contacts on either a phone book, like a notebook with them written down, or a Rolodex, which was like basically index cards filled with people's telephone numbers. Yes.
I just looked it up, but I was like, oh wow, it looks so very ancient.
Wow. Thank
Ancient.
you.
It looks like something like you see at a doctor's office, like when they
Yeah,
yeah, it's like it has a. Is that what it's for? Like really, like or like it would
it has
have contacts. Like,
advertised, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
oh,
it's for.
Yeah, it's like
wow.
an address book in like a circle thing that you can flip through.
You
So
see, we learn new things here in INC Radio every week. So
That's right. So
today I learned something new.
Oh, so sorry to interject. We have an answer. Sister Mila Hidalgo said smoke came first. But if you have any other answers to whether the what was it? Symbols or smoke signals came first or was used first when it came to communication, please leave it on the YouTube live chat. We'll answer it in a couple of minutes. Sister Mila also said they used to communicate using beepers. Do you know what a beeper is, Brother Christian?
I think so. I think we covered this in a previous.
Yes, that's right. Technological differences. So, yeah, so beeper. Oh man. How do you explain a beeper? It's like,
it's the same thing as, well, it's another word
not
for a pager. So
yeah,
basically it has like a telephone number, like a number that you call. And then sometime you like, either it can be just numbers where you just press a callback number for you to call back, or there's fancy ones that actually you can use to type messages. But older ones is you just use numbers, and then the person will have to use either a payphone or their landline to
to
call
call
you
back.
back on your number.
Wow, when payphones were actually being used.
Yes, yes. And I know they're no longer around. I think they got rid of them. But yeah, it used to cost 5 cents, or sometimes 25 cents.
Quarter, yeah, a quarter was
A
the last I
quarter.
heard.
And I
The
think for
last I heard.
unlimited, and then there was a telephone number that you can, what we call, collect. And so you won't have to spend money. I would say my name as my message. It's like, hi, mom and dad, can you pick me up at school? Bye. And then they will say, no, I don't want to accept it. So that's how we saved for
Oh
calling
man.
collect.
So maybe not as maybe to store information. Um Sister Diane from Forest Hill says, who remembers using floppy disks to save one word document or two? Brother Christian, do you remember what floppy disks are from that one INCRadio topic?
Yeah, I know what a floppy disk is. I used to use it back when I was little.
When you were little.
When I was little,
When
like
I was a wee lad.
what year was this? 2000, 2005?
When I was a wee lad.
Yeah.
When I was in the Philippines.
Oh man. Yes, yes. So to answer our icebreaker, symbols came first before smoke signals,
Oh,
right? Yes.
okay.
So, obviously like the first early humans started to express their thoughts through like signs and gestures, right? And then
Mm.
um cave paintings or paintings and stuff like that. Then of course, when the need to communicate from distances grew, that's when people learned to use smoke signals as a way to send messages from a distance. I know that they used to use it back in like ancient China, to warn people if there's any like bad people coming or like threatening to take over and stuff like that, right? So what else do we have? Do we know if the telephone or the telegraph came first? So which was used first, or which was invented first, the telephone or the telegraph?
Hmm.
Okay. Right. So, and then after pigeons were also used, like animals were also used to deliver messages, especially when like language, like alphabets and words were invented. So, yes. Oh, I should have asked too. It's okay. We'll ask it later. Um, do we have any more
So I guess we can,
examples of?
or next question.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that.
So because of technology, I know we kind of touched upon this, and how easy it is to connect with people from all over the world. Do you think how has communication improved or has it regressed? What do you guys think? I think it's both. I think it
In
improved, but
some ways,
also,
yes.
yeah,
In
in
some
some
ways,
ways
it's improved. In some ways, it's regressed. So we have varying answers for our question: telephone or telegraph. So the telegraph actually came first, right? But they
Mm,
weren't that far, like far behind from each other. It was mere decades between them, especially once electricity was created. So the telegraph, um, telegraph came first. The telephone is a much, I guess, more complicated technology that used electricity, whereas the telegraph, um, it's a bit more simple because then you used to use like that's where they started using like Morse code
Morse
and stuff like
code.
that. Yeah. Right.
Mm,
Alrighty. So some people said that technology communication has improved. And tell us how so. If you think that it has improved, how so? I like Brother Abraham's answer. Communication has changed. Uh,
mm.
Communication allows more rapid dissemination of information, but the pace at which we communicate can lead to less measured and considered words. I totally agree. Yes, when you had to pay for letters, they took time to deliver. You were careful with your words. You really had to think about what you wanted to say first because it cost a lot and it was a lot of work
Mhm.
to get those words delivered. But now that it's easier to, you know, share your thoughts, people nowadays don't have as much filter as we had back as people had back then. You could,
Yeah. Because how many times that when we're texting, you have like a typo, but you just send it anyways and you just like correct it. But back then, you actually would have to proofread it, make sure that things sound well, sound coherent before you would send it. Even like with letters, I don't know, I forgot how much postage cost back then, but it costs to like communicate with people from abroad, like, our relatives in foreign countries. So we had to like take time to really think about our words and the meaning that we have behind them.
yes, I completely agree. How about you, brother Christian? As someone who has who is born of technology.
Yeah, I mean, I can also agree with you guys with well, we see it now the way that technology affects our lives. It definitely has improved the way we live and how we do our everyday lives. In communication in general, we're able to communicate with um, those that are in different parts of the world more easily. Especially for us in the church, like if we want to go vacation somewhere, how are we how we're able to figure out where the nearest chapel is, or like what time the worship service is in another place. Is we get it right away because of the fact that technology has improved and we can communicate with other people. So
Right. So, for I think, yeah, I can also agree, right? It's so much easier to communicate um with people, especially if you have friends or family from afar. And that's what's great because it brings you closer. The distance doesn't seem as wide um because of, the advances of technology in helping communication. But there's also been, because we're all on social media, we're all on our devices, there are times when like interpersonal, like like actually talking to someone in person, that's sort of been diminished a bit, or like our skill when it comes to talking to someone in person or talking to people in person, like in groups, um you know because of um phones and communication. I mean, phones and technology, right? We kind of hide behind them and use them as a crutch so that we don't have to communicate in person. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we also do our best to communicate in person, right? Because that's also still very important. Um, which brings us to our next question, right? Do you think that the prevalence of technology or social media has had an impact on interpersonal? So interpersonal, it's between individuals, right? Interpersonal communication. Sister Abby.
Um, hmm. You caught me off guard. um, I think I think like what you mentioned, it's kind of talking to people because of technology and whatnot. Talking in person can be difficult for some because it's more intimate compared to talking through like email or talking through like video chat, or you have that disconnect when you have those technology to assist in a way. So people are losing that communication skills when you talk to people in person. Or people are very socially awkward because they don't know how to speak to someone face to face, and they're very uncomfortable. Which like you have that. Um, you can be anonymous. There's no face to the name, to the words attached when you're talking through, like a social media and whatnot. So I know there's a lot of issues with like bullying on social media because they're people are kind of more confident because there's
Mhm.
no ramifications on their words because you can't really associate it with someone
That's
face to
true.
face.
Yeah, you can hide behind your username and just do whatever
Yeah.
you want.
And yeah, you can create dummy accounts or burner accounts or whatever. So it will never get back to you unless, it can eventually if someone is willing to dig through it. But you can like fake it and then you
Mhm.
can say whatever you want, hurt people or whatever, and nothing will happen to you because it's not really associated to you.
Agreed. So just to interject, I'm just going to read some of the comments. My third eye. I'm Sister Vinny from Connecticut. Sounding drums from distances was a way of communicating with others, also, especially in wars. Yes, sounding of drums. Usually, that's around the time when like the smoke signals were being used. So thank you so much for that. Sister Marisol said, to think of it, our old age communication was very simple, like the way of living back then. People were calmer and had more patience. Sister Joy D. Parsha said, I remembered when my dad was in Saudi, we used to send tape cassettes. So if you had like longer messages, this and that. Um, Brother Abraham said, modern communication has lowered the barrier to talking to someone, but in the same way, it's also removed some of the social lubrication that helps people be more forgiving. Totally agree. Yes. So, again, like what we said earlier, right? I think also Brother Abraham said earlier, um, back then when it costs more to send a message, to deliver your thoughts, when you really had to take time to think about what you say, um, and how it can be portrayed. Um, but now that we don't have that problem, just people just take that for granted, I think. Right. Um, yeah.
I feel like nowadays too, conversations with people in person aren't as genuine as it used to be because of the fact that people were always so used to, again, using phones and technology to communicate now. Like you guys said, like you can hide behind a username, or hide behind a text message. But it creates that awkward dissonance whenever you guys meet up in person, and if sometimes like people really don't know how to like approach that situation these days. So I kind of think that we have progressed, but at the same time regressed in some areas. So
Yes, I guess like some of the quality of it the quality of communication has regressed a little bit, but it's definitely something that we as humans have to keep working on, right? Um, so whether you communicate in person verbally, or whether you communicate via social media or on your technology, whatever technology you have, let's make sure that we make it like quality conversations. We think about what we say, what we type before we say it, right? And especially nowadays that social media is prevalent, most of our conversations are done on social media. So let's always be aware of, how we communicate, how our words can be perceived by others, because on a text message, you can't hear intonation or you can't hear emotion in there. You can't look into someone's eyes when you read a text message, so you don't know exactly what kind of emotions is behind that, what their meaning is behind it,
Yeah.
right? So it takes a lot more I don't know how to say it in English. You have to kilatis more. Yeah. So you really have to read into it more, and not just and think about it more, instead of just judging whatever is written already. um and again, like what we always hear and read, right? As members of the Church of Christ, we are Christians even online, right? So just because they don't know who you are and they don't know you're a member of the Church of Christ doesn't mean you can just say or post whatever it is that you want to post. All of us have to be mindful, right? So we like to recognize the top 3 local congregation from last week's hashtag challenge. I didn't know how to segue that, so I just really cut it off.
we buffer there a little bit, guys. Sorry.
I'm like, is it okay if I do this? I guess I'm doing it. Right. So now we would like to recognize the top 3 local congregations from last week's hashtag challenge. Number 3, we have local of Belmore. Woohoo! All right. So for number 2, we have local of Woodbury. And number 1, we have Forest Hill. Woohoo! Wow, Brother Christian, I saw that. And then our top 3 hashtaggers from last week are Sister Jennifer Trinidad from Orange County. Thank you so much for always, stopping by and saying hi. Number 2, we have Sister Joy Andres, our District Kadua president. Yes. And number 1, this is why Forest Hills was number 1. She's the sole reason why Forest Hills was number 1. She carried us on her back. Sister Betty Savino. So thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for always constantly tuning in. Thank you for always joining us in our conversations. Before, can we check if we have any greetings before we close off? I know we have several brethren from other districts that are here.
Yes, we have Brother Christian, Benedict F. Co. Hello to brethren in New York watching from the District of San Diego County, California. And we have Melba Arbekas. She's here. They're watching from the local of Athens, Greece, District of Mediterranean. And I know we have Sister Jackie and Brother Warren said happy Saturday, New York, hashtag Forest Hills. My brother Mike Bernal, hashtag Belmore. And I think our greatest communication is prayer. So that's true. especially when we need or we want to thank our Almighty God for everything in our life.
Thank you.
And
Actually, I miss Brother Pastor Palacios III said back in my day, back in my day, we had IRC. I don't know. I didn't get to. Do you remember that, Sister Anne?
no, I don't think I was too young to be part of that. I think I wasn't allowed because I was a little bit younger. But I remember chat rooms on
Yes.
AOL. I don't know if
Oh
that's still
man,
around.
yeah. That's right. Okay. Again, where is it? Where was I? Right. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today and sharing your thoughts and experiences when it comes to technology, and communication through the, technology and stuff. Um, yeah, but that is all for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you once again to the church administration for giving us a platform and place to share and think about important and interesting topics like this. Don't forget to catch us again next Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We are going to have a special
Actually,
guest.
it's
What?
not 11:30. It's
It
10
is.
It is.
because we are going back in time.
No, they said that it's going to be 11:30 still.
Oh,
We're not
really?
changing our time.
Not changing our
Something
time.
Oh,
special. We're
even
changing.
better,
We're staying
everyone. Wow,
11:30.
that is a great time for all of us. So
Yes, we don't have to remember a new time slot.
it is prime time in the District of New York Satellite.
Yes, we love it.
Yep.
11:30 next week.
Yes, but don't forget tomorrow, turn back our clocks for those who need to turn back their clocks. And greetings to our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and to our Christian Family Organization Coordinator and Subsidy President, Brother Angelo Ranyo Manalo, and to our District Minister, Brother Sheridan Santos, our Assistant District Minister, Brother Neil Patrick Omelda, our CFO Advisor, Brother J.R. Resurrection. And that brings us to the end of our show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and have a good night.